Hey everybody, Kelly here. Welcome to another episode of BTA Fridays, Breaking the Algorithm. Here we break the algorithm and we put something better in its place. All right, so today we are going to talk about something that I know I didn't really consider when I started going down this author journey world, and I don't think really most of us consider it, I'm guessing, is your author identity. So Wednesday on the author's mic, I talked about different paths that indie authors can take, right? And even the phrase indie author to me is a very broad term and it can cover a lot of different journeys. But today I wanted to take the conversation from conversational, well, I still want to have a conversation, but less of that conversation and turn it more into like a strategy perspective, because BTA is all about strategy, right? So, I think that there's something that happens all the time in the indie author world, right? So, someone decides to publish a book, right? They publish the book. And then what do we all do? Well, I know I did this too. I went online looking for advice. And all of a sudden, I found myself, I don't know about y'all, but I was overwhelmed. I was flooded with so many strategies about publishing that book. And I will tell you, I was told to run ads, start a newsletter, build an email list, post every day, create content constantly, start a Substack, be on TikTok, be on Instagram, be on Facebook, be on LinkedIn. Actually, be on every social media platform you can think of, right? Then someone said, you need to start a podcast. And then another person says, you need to go on podcast. And then somebody said, pitch bookstores. And then somebody else said, hell, pitch book clubs. And then someone said, do book signings. And then somebody said, give out ARCs, write magazine articles, go on TV, apply to do a TEDx, submit your work to anthologies, get a website, promote on a website, advertise on a website, create digital products, build a street team, be everywhere, do everything all of the time. And the list just keeps on going. And before long, I honestly think if you're anything like me, I was like, well, wait, wait a minute. How the hell am I supposed to do all this? Right? And that's where the confusion begins because not none of these are bad ideas, right? Many of them are actually great opportunities. But the problem is that I found, right, that a lot of this advice is given without context, right? Without asking the most important question first. And that is, what kind of author are you trying to be? Because the strategy only works when it matches the goal, right? If someone is building an author business, right, they may need systems, they may need visibility strategies, partnerships, and multiple ways to reach readers. If someone simply wants to publish a meaningful story and share it with their community, they may not need all of those things. They may not need half those things, right? If someone wants to build a publishing platform or help other writers bring their work into the world, they might focus on infrastructure and relationships, right? Three authors, three completely different strategies. But I honestly think that we treat all indie authors as if they're all pursuing the same destination, and the advice becomes just a little bit overwhelming and sometimes discouraging, at least for me, right? I can't really speak for anybody, but personally, these are the things that I went through, right? And then, authors, or at least me too, I started thinking that I was failing because I wasn't doing everything that everyone else is doing. And that's hard to sit with when you believe that you are failing at something that you really wanted to do, or that you're failing at something that you put so much time and effort, especially when that time is like your free time, like your off time. Because I don't know about you, a lot of us have 9 to 5. So when we're out here doing this hustle, we're doing it in what we perceive to be our spare time, right? And the truth is, right, we just might be following strategies that were meant for a completely different lane, right? Strategy, I have learned, is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things for your goals. And once you understand the kind of author you're becoming, the noise starts to fade. You stop trying to do everything. You stop chasing every new platform. You stop feeling like you're behind, because you're not. And then you start thinking more intentionally about where your readers might actually be, because readers don't just exist in an algorithm. They exist in real places. And I said this so many times, but these are things that I have learned, right? I have learned that readers exist in real places. They exist in bookstores, online and in person. They listen to podcasts. They join book clubs and social groups to read and learn about authors and creatives and get introduced to new books, right? They're on communities talking to people and asking questions, right? They're in communities where people are already talking about books. So when you start thinking strategically about your work, the question becomes less about doing everything and more about doing things that align with your lane. So if you're at the beginning of your author journey or somewhere in the middle, today's episode is really just an invitation to take a moment and pause. Before you try to do everything the internet says you should do, ask yourself this simple question: what kind of author are you actually trying to be? Because once you understand the question, then your strategy can get a whole lot more clear, right? And then you can really start to understand your lane, and then you can really start to reach whatever author goals you put for yourself. I don't know what that is, only you can decide what that is. And the next week, we're going to continue this conversation by talking about some things every author eventually encounters: the reality of the indie author journey. And trust me, it may not all be um, roses and sunshine. It may not be some of the authors that you see on Instagram having success. I'm not saying people aren't out there and having success. I'm not saying that it may not be what you think it is. So the reality of the indie author journey isn't, necessarily what you think it is. I'm going to bring you what I believe to be the real version, my real version, and we'll break it down. And that, friends, is how we break the algorithm together and we start to build community, right? All right, so let me give you my laundry list of things before I let you go, because I always do. All right, so the first thing I'm going to lead with is TrustBridge. TrustBridge is my curated introduction service that I launched last month. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm doing all the heavy lifting for you, right? I have a partner network. It's called the TrustBridge Network of book clubs, bookstores, podcasts, and more, because I want to grow this thing as big as I can. I've been working on this thing for a very long time, and I will do a curated introduction. So I will get you the visibility that you are looking for. I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll even create your media kit for you, which is yours to keep. You can do whatever you'd like with it. To learn more about what I'm talking about, go to my website and go to TrustBridge Author Services. All right. Now, if you are creative in this space and you'd like to come on the Author's Mic, guest every Monday, go to my website, go to a Be a Guest tab, learn all about being a guest on the Author's Mic. I would love to share this platform with you. If you would like to support me, I have 2 books out there, Wait for It and You Sound White. All the information is on my website. I'm happy to ship the books to you at no charge if you're interested, but you can get the books wherever good books are sold. If you are on your author journey, I have a guide. It's called So You Want to Write a Book. It's free on my website. Go get it, download it, start your journey. And then we do have a book club. It's called the IRS, the Indie Reader Society. You can join us as a reader. My goal for 2026 is to get this book club as big and robust as possible because all we do is read indie authors, and the impact that we can have on that author would be phenomenal. And you can also pitch us as an author. All the information is on the website. Go to the website, hit more, and then you'll see all those other tabs for all of the other things that I talked about. All right, you guys. So this has been another episode of BTA Fridays, Breaking the Algorithm. And just remember, ask yourself that question, right? What kind of author are you actually trying to be? I'll catch you next Friday.